Hello, everybody. This is Joe the Lawyer here from Analog Man Cave. Thanks for listening to another edition and watching my awesome black and white old school art. I started this podcast or YouTube show, whatever you want to call it, off with a picture from Keep on the Borderlands. It's the cover art. I figure that's a good starting point because Keep on the Borderlands is all about the battle between law and chaos and law and chaos. What the hell are they? Michael Moore, cocky in terms. Cocky. I never said the word cocky in before. That's a new one. Anyway, Michael more cocky in terms. That's how we had his whole alignment system, law and chaos, order, whatever. And so Gygax adopted that into D&D, and the whole Keep on a Borderlands thing was labeled the battle between the forces of law and the forces of chaos, right? So you're sitting there thinking, well, what the hell does that mean? It means in societal terms, monsters, things that want to tear stuff down and destroy, and things that want to build stuff up and grow and prosper, right? So, all right, I could dig in. I could dig that. And then you get into character alignment. Are you for law or are you for chaos? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. if you're a PC, chaos. I mean, it's just you're a crazy maniac trying to destroy everything around you and tear it all down and have anarchy, right? That's the way it was always kind of described in the books. How could a player act that way and be in a group of PCs unless they're a bunch of other anarchic, chaotic, crazy ass lunatics, right? Trying to do the same thing, in which case they'd, as likely not to fight each other as anybody else and to come together for, goals and aims. I mean, basically, I look at the forces of chaos as like hordes of demons or like legions of orcs or, monsters or whatever, like rampaging through the area. Tarrasque broken down into its component parts, basically. It never really fit with me right, and so but that's how it started with the character alignment. And it's, what side are you on? It's really what it came down to back then, is what side are you on? And so you're chaotic, you're lawful, whatever, and that's the side of the battle you're on. Then some finer interpretations from that comes like, okay, so it's just your side. It's not your alignment means, what side of the battle you're on. Okay, but you can be any type of person and be on either side of that battle. All right, yeah, okay, cool. So then you get into character personalities and traits and whatnot, and you're just a warrior in the battle of law versus chaos. Okay, so it's not your personality; it's just what side you choose. All right, fine, good. But now you're getting at the personality types, and then you expand alignment, right, into good and evil, with always neutral being in the middle of all that. So now you have all the nine alignment traditional nine alignment system that we have today came up with AD&D, I believe, and so you have good and evil into that, right? And so good and evil describes what kind of person you are. In broadest terms, I guess, in simplified terms, are you selfish, self-centered, manipulative? Are you looking at to use everything around you for your own personal gain, or are you out there doing things for others just because it's the right thing to do? Selfless versus selfish. That's good and evil, I think, how you look at it. So selfless, good; selfish, evil, right? And then keep it simple. Let's not get into philosophical, moralistic debates here. I'm just talking for D&D game terms. So now you say, okay, good and evil. My guy is good. My guy's evil. My guy is neutral. Neutral. A lot of people just came to believe as that means I don't give a shit. I can do whatever the hell I want, right? Especially chaotic neutral, because you don't have to ever do the same thing twice. So chaotic neutral is the default alignment for murder hobos. Essentially, they're rampage across the world, do whatever the hell they want. They're looking for a chaotic place they cause chaos around the world and all about themselves, being selfish, which would lend into evilness, but it's like, neutral. I can do good things if I want to, if I feel like it, right? Like, oh shit. So now, then you got the neutral guys, the Druids, out there trying to bring balance. And Gary Gygax so believed in this forces of balance. I mean, stealing it from Moorcock, right? The eternal champion of neutrality. Or the eternal champion, period. Sometimes, it was the forces of chaos that they took, or forces of love, they took the side just to bring balance, right? The eternal champion was whoever he needed to be for balance. But Gygax believed in this so much that he, in his Gord the Rogue series, his star, which Gord the Rogue started out as a thief in the slums of Greyhawk and ascended to demigod status, essentially became the Cat Lord. Oh, spoiler alert. He became the new Cat Lord in a new parallel universe or whatever the hell it was, right? But he was a champion of neutrality back then. And so he had his allies, he was a Curly Greenleaf, the Druid, and he had Shirt, the Barbarian, and who the hell was the guy with the harp? Oh, God, I forget. He was a bard, though, and he was just Even that I didn't like Bard, so I forgot his fucking name. Stupid ass shit. But anyway, so he believed in it so much that neutrality was a real force in his world. So then Druids are neutral people now must be against the spoiling nature. Well, no, that's just Druid neutral. The other neutral, whole different catalog of what they're for or what they're against. Right, depends on the player. It never made a whole lot of sense. I mean, what you're looking for here is really, if you break it down, what you're looking for here is a person's or PC's view of society and how it should be organized. All right. And then, that's the law and order or chaos axis. Right. And then the other side of it, you're looking at, well, my thing is I like to do good for others, or my thing is I don't really care. I'll do whatever I got to do to survive. I'm not going to go out of my way to do harm, or I'll do good if it helps me, or if it just makes me feel good once in a while. That's your neutral. And then there's the evil, like fuck everybody. I'm just here to use you, abuse you, take whatever I can from you, and live the good life in the hell of everyone else, right? And completely callously, not disregarding anybody else around them, right? So. Now, those are three things. Now, I'm using a fancy buzzword everybody uses today. It's a spectrum, all right. But all those beliefs, those things they're all on a spectrum, and you could be right, good in certain ways and neutral in other ways, and maybe evil towards in some situations. Everything is a situational determination, right? Everybody could be an asshole. Everybody could be a saint. Depends on the day, depends on what's going on in your life, and most people just get through and get by and try to do what they got to do. And they're nice when they, and when it's okay, when it doesn't really put them out, I guess you could say, right? It's the rare exception of those Mother Teresa types out there. It's also the rare exception of the, Genghis Khan asshole types. So, right. I mean, so what we're really looking at in D&D terms now is a way of looking at the world and how it should be structured, and you, the PC, the good and evil axis, is what you do in certain situations. Now, an alignment can't possibly determine, good, evil, neutral, every situation what you're going to do. Nobody's a robot. Situations vary, people vary depending on the time of day, whatever the hell's going on. And so I just ignore all that shit. All right. All I tell my players to do is to come up with a personality that is consistent. All right. You don't have to do the flaws, the bonds, all these different things, that the 5e player character sheet has. I don't care about that shit. In fact, I tell my players, I don't want a big ass background. Give me a paragraph just to understand the gist of where you came from. But the bottom line is you're a nobody from nowhere, or else you wouldn't be an adventurer. All right. So, give me a paragraph of best, but no dramatic, huge epic tale of a backstory. Okay. And so, when you're talking from those terms, the players say, all right, I grew up in a farm, third son, got to get out of here, blah, 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 and hit the road and joined up with a militia, and I learned my ropes, and then I joined the army a little bit and did the tour of duty. Now I'm a first level fighter, and here I am. Cool. That's something to work with. Now, based on all of that, build a fighter. Based on your experiences, kind of figure out how you would react to certain things. In your head, you can say, oh, yeah, I have a lot of battles against orcs. I found my brothers in arms. A lot of them died during a big orc fight. Okay. So build a fighter, hates fucking orcs. He will go kill the orc babies. Okay. But in general, he's a good guy. But he hates fucking orcs. All right. There's no alignment system that can make up for that sort of situation. That's why it's too restrictive and too narrow. It doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, right? I mean, if the only time it does make some level of sense is when you're talking about clerics and paladins and things like that, right? But that depends on how you play clerics and paladins. All right, let's take lawful good, the epitome of a paladin, right? It was a Torm or Tyr or whatever in Forgotten Realms. So you're lawful good. You are the epitome of knightly virtues and noble virtues and this and that. And you have to go out there, righting the wrongs and, Don Quixote style bullshit, or, medieval knight, King Arthur level bullshit, right? That to me is a problem, because Gygax mixed medieval knighthood and religion. Now, I know that the medieval knights were all about the Catholic, all that kind of stuff, right? Religious and, the blessing of the Pope and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to a fantasy world, it doesn't fly too well, because you're applying two different things together. Now, what if you're a paladin of a god who's all about glory and battle and self-sacrifice for others and fighting? Okay, good. you don't have to necessarily have all the chivalrous crap carried over from our own Middle Ages. You don't need all that stuff, right? Because the only thing that a person who is related to a deity in some way, their class is related to a deity, like a paladin or a priest or a cleric or something along those lines, they just have to uphold the beliefs of their deity. That's it. All right. Nobility and, savage bloodlust in battle, or nobility and self-sacrifice for others, whatever that is, whatever your calling is on the militant arm of this religion, that's what you should be doing. Upholding those virtues. All right. You don't have to adopt the whole chivalric order bullshit of, that the classical knights have. It doesn't make any sense. And so once you do that, you strip away the paladin of half the nonsense it has to deal with. A paladin is just the paragon of the god. The way I look at it, it's a paladin is somebody trying to be the god, right? That's all it is. They're trying to act on this earth as the god is portrayed in all the stories and all the tales and all the legends. That's all that they are. They're just trying to act like that god. And by acting like that god, they become more like that god more and more every day. And maybe ascend to, be at his side when they die. Whereas a cleric or a priest, their job is to go out there and tend to the faithful and take care of their needs, and so that the needs of the god are met on this plane, and gets more followers and more worshipers, and the more worshipers they get, the more powerful the god gets, because all that juice goes up into them. The gods are like a big battery in the sky, basically, right? So the more worshipers you have, the better. So a cleric doesn't necessarily have to uphold all those virtues themselves. They just have to teach it and impart it onto others. I mean, yeah, if you're a cleric, a priest of the god of, noble battle, valor, virtue, blah, blah, blah bullshit, then yeah, if there's ever a fight, you better, practice what you preach, buddy, or else you lose, some credibility here with your followers, and that loses, the god power. So you need to keep it up, but you're not out there exhibiting that shit every day. Okay. You don't need to be lawful good in all your deeds and actions, as in the terms of the chivalric terms, in terms of the knights of the Middle Ages, in order to uphold the view of your God. The view of your God is all you need to keep going, not the bullshit, the chivalric virtues, right? So that's really it. That's all I tell people is just, you have a slight background, you have an idea where your dudes comes from, you have an idea based on that background, like orcs are hated because they killed every friend I ever had. Good, you're evil towards them, I understand. You killed the orc babies, I understand. All right, wouldn't do it in real life, but I understand. So it makes sense. So you're gonna have this, a more varied, a more rich, a more interesting PC when you just get rid of alignment. Basically, you're going to have more fun in your game. All right, because otherwise you're just doing archetypes, right? You're not even giving yourself a chance to role play if you're just taking on such a ridiculously limiting thing like alignment in D&D. And don't even get me started on alignment languages. That was the dumbest shit ever. Where the old AD&D stuff, thank God they dropped that. But for those people who don't know what I'm talking about, each alignment had its own language you could speak. It's the most retarded shit ever. Because so what, you're talking this language that other people can hear? Or is it signs and symbols? Or is it hand gestures or whatever? I mean, the closest I could understand to it, what it might be, is like New Agers. If you're like your typical crystal New Age type people, right? Chakras and all that stuff, which I have some beliefs in, but they speak a language. You have to balance your meridians in the third chakra. It's like, once you get the lingo, you're down, right? And the same thing with like business people. If you read the Harvard Business Review every day or every month that it comes out, you're going to get a whole language of your own. Now, what made no sense whatsoever is that you ever shifted alignments, you lost the ability to understand the old alignment language. What the hell is that about? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's just another artifact, a carryover of shit that made no sense from the very, very beginning. We should have known it way back then, looking at alignment languages, that this thing was borked from the beginning, right? So anyway, that's all I got to say really much about alignment. It's just, please subscribe if you like this video. Please listen, share it out with your friends, subscribe, because I'm trying to get a contest with Eric going here where I whoever gets to 5,000 followers gets money for their favorite charity from the other guy, and also a steak dinner for themselves. So please do like and subscribe, and appreciate all you guys listening. I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.